All right, I have 6 players here, and I have to decide which one of them is going to be cut from this hypothetical team. All right, so my first idea was to dive deep into statistics and really look at what these players have done over their career. But honestly, that seems a little boring. So I'm just going to give my opinion at face value on who I would cut. And before I get started, make sure to tell me down in the comments who you would pick. Give me a reason why, if you disagree with my opinion or if you agree with my opinion. Be sure to let me know down in the comments. I definitely read all of those. All right, so off rip, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, and LeBron. So pretty much that whole left side is safe. Those guys, I don't need to dive deep into that stuff. Like Tim Duncan is the best power forward in the entire league, like ever to play the game. Michael Jordan is arguably the GOAT. And LeBron James is also arguably the GOAT. So the whole left side of this picture, there's no need to discuss those guys. Their resumes speak for itself. Then next off of the list is Shaq, most dominant player to ever play this game. The man literally is unstoppable. If you don't send a double team for Shaq, he's gonna end up with 30, 40, and 10 or 15. Like he's arguably the most unstoppable player to ever lace him up. There's no way he's getting cut from this list. So that leaves us with Kobe Bean Bryant and Kevin Durant. And honestly, Kobe is the other one that's going to be safe. So that means that we're cutting Kevin Durant. And I know I can hear it now. Everybody's going to be like, well, Kevin Durant is the greatest scorer to ever play the game, or one of the greatest scorers to ever play the game. And it's like, yeah, but what else has he done? And I know the next thing you're going to say is, oh, well, Golden State, he won 2 rings. Yeah, well, what has Kevin Durant done outside of Golden State? He lost to LeBron in the finals. He lost 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals to Steph Curry, which, I mean, I'm not even going to dock him for going to Golden State. Like, it was a great move. But when you're putting yourself up against great players, that those rings don't hold that type of weight. I'm not saying that the rings don't count. They absolutely do count. But when you put him in lists like this and you look at the weight of the rings that these players won, those 2 rings don't stack up. So okay, then you go to his time in Brooklyn. He gets to Brooklyn, not counting the 1 year he was hurt. Of course, that makes no sense to count that against him. But since then, what has he done? He's second round exit. Yes, his team was hurt. No one cares if your team was hurt. You lost. I'm not holding it against him per se, but you didn't win. And then this year, this past year, which I'm absolutely holding against him, you get swept. In my opinion, as a great player, you should never get swept unless you just do not have your entire starting 5. He had Kyrie Irving, and everybody told me that if they would have had Kyrie Irving in that Bucks series, that they would have won. Which, I mean, you had Kyrie, so he should have won. That should have been enough. He had a serviceable team against the Boston Celtics where he should have been at least able to get one singular game as an all-time great player. Some people put him top 10, some people put him top 15 player, top 20. If you're that great of a player, you have to be able to win one single game, especially when you have a player of Kyrie Irving's talent level right next to you. So when it comes down to it, yes, Kevin Durant is a generational, top 20 type player. When you stack him up against these elite players right here, this type of elite company, you have to nitpick just a little bit. So taking into account what he hasn't done on his own team, like he has not led a team the way that all of these guys have led a team. Like let's take for instance Kobe Bryant. Yes, Kobe Bryant was not the leader on those Lakers teams. It was Shaquille O'Neal. But Kobe validated those finals later on in his career by winning 2 chips as the lead guy. Let's talk about LeBron. LeBron was, to me, it was not his team, and he was not the sole leader on those Miami teams. But he validated that by once he left Miami, he went and got a ring back in Cleveland, which was his team. He was the leader. He set the tone and the culture in Cleveland. And we can talk about Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan came to a team that was technically David Robinson's team. So initially it was looked at as, he was coming into David Robinson's team. Now he goes on and wins finals MVPs of his own. And even once other people come along like Tony Parker and Kawhi Leonard and they win finals MVPs on his team, you're still looking at Tim Duncan as the leader of that team. One, because of his talent, obviously, but two, because he has validated that this is my team and I can get it done on my own as the lead guy. I mean, honestly, the list goes on and on. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he won a ring prior to getting to the Lakers. So his rings with the Lakers, although there is an argument that he may have not been the lead guy, although that you can make that argument, he has already validated the fact that I can win a ring on my own, which he did in Milwaukee as the lead guy. I mean, not saying his own. He had Oscar Robertson, of course, but he was the lead guy. So for me, that's really the only thing that I'm kind of holding against Kevin Durant at this point in his career and on this list, obviously, is that he has not shown us that he can be the guy and win a championship. Which, again, once you get to this level of players, this upper echelon of players that we're looking at right here, everybody on here, maybe with the exception of Kevin Durant, is a top 10 player. So when you're at that level, you have to start splitting hairs. You have to start nitpicking just a little bit. So until he gets to that point where he's that guy where he leads Brooklyn to a championship, or I don't know, in some crazy scenario, he goes back to OKC and wins a championship, or just anything that is his team, and he is undoubtedly the best player on that team, and he leads them to a championship, I think people will continuously not hold the value for those championships that he may feel like he deserves, and people will continually kind of hold him out of certain, debates when you're looking at top players of all time.